I love raising money. I love giving back. In fact, we created a certification program for our students, like to become certified boutique photographers. They have to generate and raise $1,000 for a charity in their community. It's that important to me. We give them the campaigns and the programs, and we teach them, we mentor them as they do it. Because I want them to see you don't have to wait till you have a big pile of money. I know that you're struggling too, right?
Yeah.
But our motto is we lift as we climb. And so you can lift and climb and you'll climb higher. So you give back as you go. You don't wait till you're at the top of the mountain because you may never get to the top of the mountain. Mountain keeps growing.
Wow. How are entrepreneurs like us daring bravely to build a stage, ditch the sweatpants, and step up to the mic? How do we create our own transformative events so we can get our message out into the world in a bigger way? It's not only profitable, but it's actually something we can be proud of. That's the question. And the answers are inside this podcast. My name is Sarah Pfeiffer. Welcome to Greenroom Central. Today I brought in a Greenroom Central studio, Sarah Petty. She's a photographer and founder of the Photography Business Institute, where she empowers photographers to really thrive in their businesses. With a passion for creating meaningful artwork, she also celebrates every stage of childhood through her portraits. Sarah, welcome to Greenroom Central Studios. Say hello to Linchpin Nation.
Hey, Linchpin Nation, let's go.
I've been so looking forward to this, Sarah. We're both tall. We're both Midwesterners. We have the same name.
Yes.
We're both moms and entrepreneurs and really value family first. And you have this attractive character about you that's like one part joy and one part certainty. And it puts me at ease and at the same time makes me want to go climb a mountain. And I just love that about you.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Joy and certainty.
Yeah. I thought we'd start today and have a little fun having you share a story. So the whole premise around this show is that around my belief that being in the room is everything. And a little backstory for you. About 6.5 years ago, I made my way into my very first personal development seminar. It was a 4-day Brendon Burchard personal development seminar. And within 11 months of being in that room, I had left my corporate career of 16 years and started my own business. I sold my home and moved my family across the country from the Midwest to the Pacific Northwest. We'd been in the Midwest our whole lives. We paid off all the debt we'd been under for a decade and a half. So it was a massive shift to happen in under 12 months. And it makes me curious if there's ever been a room that you made it into that changed the trajectory of your life.
You know, that's such a cool question. And I've also been to Brendon Burchard. He was one of my first after I had my kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was raised in the right room. My dad in our old beat up car. We drove, I live in Central Illinois and all of our grandparents lived in Northwest Iowa. So it's 6 hours to one grandparent and then another 4 more to the other grandparent. And we listened to cassette tapes of Zig Ziglar and Stephen Covey and all of the greats. It's true. You know, it's funny because it's so easy, I think, for all of us to pick our parents apart with their flaws and like all the things they did wrong. But like the thing I'm most proud about my dad for is he was the 8th of 10, raised on a farm. My grandparents came over from Norway, spoke Norwegian. And so he didn't get a lot of things handed to him and he had to go out and find them. And so he discovered personal development on his own. He put himself through college, got his master's degree. I remember I was like a 10, 12-year-old when he got his MBA. He put braces on himself at like 35. And he raised us listening to these cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And I don't think at the time I really thought much about it. But as I've become an adult and an entrepreneur, my dad was also an entrepreneur and a college teacher, a college instructor. And I think that was the room that changed everything for me because I've always sought out the next room. Right. And I've been in some wrong rooms, but I still even look back on like coaching programs that I invested in that maybe weren't the right fit. Yeah. They got me to the next step. And so I don't regret any of them, even the one that I did that was 6 figures, because I thought, oh, I'll buy my way into the room and realized that there were other people buying their way into the room that didn't even have businesses. And the coach wasn't even teaching a model that I wanted. I just thought the money will provide the answer.
Yes.
But that taught me some things, right? And it also, when you put that much money in yourself and then you invest in yourself, it makes you feel like I'm worth more, for others to invest in me. So I think that's the mobile room that started it all for me.
Oh, wow. That is so beautiful. And what a gift to grow up in that space. I didn't meet personal development or entrepreneurship. Like it was above the fold front page news to me, both of those items at 36. And I'm 43 now. It rocked my world. And I've wanted to go into the next room and the next room and the next room ever since. And what a gift to get that so early in life.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
how
think as a
cool.
parent, I try to really share that with my kids.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a ton of money, but we never went without.
Yeah.
But that was always prioritized, was education, even informal education. Both my parents were
Mm,
teachers by trade. And
yeah.
so I always valued formal education, or I was told, I was
Yeah.
voluntold, you will go to
Yeah.
college and you just pick where,
Yeah.
right? It was never a choice. But it's funny with Strengths Finder. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yeah, I have.
My number one strength is learner. And when I saw that, I was shocked
Ah,
because I didn't love school. I always liked to get A's,
yeah.
because I'm competitive. So
Yeah.
I wanted all the points, but I would get A's in like calculus and art. And like, I think I got a B or a C. I got one C, and I think it was in history. Cause I'm like, why do I need to memorize and regurgitate things? Like it's fact. Everybody
Right.
knows it. It's
Yeah.
not worth my time. So that's where the entrepreneur came out in me. Like I love to do the things I love to do, and the things I don't care about. But when I
Yeah.
realized I am a learner, I'm hungry to grow and learn. And so when it comes to raising kids, I want them to know, like my college kids, I have one left in college, but they've all invested their own money in education. My daughter just bought a $97 web design class. She's in college in a web design class, and she found someone doing it because I've taught her, like, there's someone doing it out there
Yes.
that's got it figured out, maybe even more than your college professor,
Yes.
especially in a fast moving, fast changing industry like online marketing. And so I was so proud of her. She just put it on her own very first credit card, and she has a job. She's going to pay for it. So like, that's a proud mama moment for me.
Oh, wow. That is like that ability to go out and know that there's a gap and to go out and seek it. That's that's amazing.
Yeah. And
I
our kids watch us, they watch what we're
yeah.
doing. I love that
Uh-huh.
saying, they don't always listen to us, but they watch us. I think that's what drives me to help, especially moms, right? Women who feel like they can't have it all, right? They either have to pick a career or a family. And that's always been my mission, to prove that you can have it all.
Yeah. No, the learning piece really sticks with me because I didn't think I was a learner. I didn't think I was someone who was like a book reader or a learner because I didn't like school.
Yeah.
In fact, I was going to go to law school and then I stopped after college. I was like, I just don't like school. I've never been given a book that I like. And then I met Audible and personal development and entrepreneurship all at the same time. And I was like, holy cow, actually, I love learning and I can't
Yes.
stop now.
Yes. Same.
And
Yeah.
I love that, and I think that's an important lesson for me to think about as a mom, is to how can I foster my daughter's love of learning now and her curiosity so that it then extends and does what your daughters did in college, and has her going out to seek, to fill the gaps that
Yeah.
she's looking to fill.
Yeah. And I
Mm,
think I love that whole concept of Strengths Finder. And we run our team. We have like 5 or 6 assessments we have everyone take, more that so we can get to know them and what
yes.
they groove with, because school, we're measured on everything, right? Like our ACT test. So to get a high ACT score, you have to do well at English and math and history and all the blah, blah, blah. When I tell my kids, like, pass high school, but find something you love. Be great at
Yes.
something that you can see yourself building a life around. I think people
Yes.
obsess too much about grades. Like, do we walk around with our GPA on our shirt? And there are people who had really high GPAs who are struggling in life. It doesn't
Yes.
ensure that you're going to have a happy life. But if you find something that you can build a career around that you naturally love and are good at, forget the other stuff. Let someone else do that. Double down on what you do well, and you will build a really happy life.
100%. We're in Montessori school right now for a reason that I believe so much that people should learn emotional intelligence and also should learn how to think. And I really don't care about grades. Like, I don't care that there's no report cards, and I don't care that there's no grades in homework, because I really want her to learn how to think and interact with others. And I know now that there's a coach that will fill any gap that we need to fill.
Yeah.
And it's such a gift, it being in the entrepreneur space and knowing that the expertise exists, and we'll just go get it.
Because we're all science projects, right? Your kids are completely different humans than you, if they're even if they're biological children, right? They're your DNA, but every single one is different from you, and they're different from each other, and they have different needs. And so I think figuring that out and encouraging them to find the resource to figure themselves out, like what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what gets you excited, what do you do when you're sad, like how do you manage all of the emotions, because it's hard right now for kids. I think it's always been hard, but I grew up pre-social media, so it was just gossip back then. Monday morning everybody was talking about everybody else and what everybody did, and now it's just right there in your face. You get it real time. So it's just teaching them to have the skills to navigate that is a new challenge for us as parents who didn't have to navigate that as much when we were growing up.
Yeah, 100%. I love your philosophy around putting family first, and I really value that too. And I think about, creating experiences as a family is so important. And I kind of, as I've become an entrepreneur, it's put a different lens on how I think about being a parent. And I think about what kind of lessons I want to impart on her. And, I think about how I want her to know how to create income outside of the traditional 9-to-5. It might not be her path, but I want her to know it's available.
Yes.
I think about things like I want her to know how to grow that wealth. I wasn't taught that. And then also that, the self-awareness and self-compassion, that emotional intelligence piece, which I just think is so, so very important. And it makes me curious what you've been working on all along with your children, and then now as they're kind of becoming their own, self, they're almost like, they're adults now, right? They're pretty, they're almost out of school, right?
Yeah, I got 2 out. 1 graduates here in a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big. So, what goes through your head?
Well, it's interesting because we become obsessed with all of these assessments, the DISC and the Strengths Finder and Synergist Quiz and Colby. And it's funny, I have them all mapped out, profiled, trying to use that information to guide them into their unique ability. One of my top strengths is called individualization, which I think I'm really good at on my team. There are a lot of things I'm not good at, but I kind of know where my strengths are. And it's getting everybody on my team in my company on the right seat on the bus, because if they're doing what their unique ability is, they're going to be happy, they're going to do better, they're going to be more efficient. And most of our team has been here more than 10 years, which is amazing. So I've kind of taken that approach with my kids of using these assessments to help them figure out what their strengths are. And my 3 kids all went through business programs. My son is leaning more towards sales, and my girls so I have twins, boy-girl twins. And my girls are both more in the creative side, photography, videography, marketing, social media management, all of those kind of things. But yet within those, they're all very different. One is a high C on the DISC, which means like super high attention to detail. She's the planner. She's the one that would be a great event planner, right? Because she's high I, high C. The other one is just high I, like crazy, and a lot of D too. She was my super most competitive athlete. She would be great in sales. Like she can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, right? But they both do photography and are super creative. And my son's less of the introvert or high extrovert, but more of the strategic thinker, right? And figuring all of that out. So, but one of the coolest things, and I think your audience might really like this, that I love to share. that I've done for 12 years. So my kids weren't in like junior high. It's a program where I mentor these high school students, and it's the coolest thing. And I literally think it changed my kids' lives because all three of them went through this program. It is a program that was started by a teacher in central Illinois in a little town called Effingham. Everyone laughs when I say that, Effingham. But he had a local bank come to him and say, hey, these kids are leaving our community. They're graduating high school and they're leaving. Could you create a class to teach them about our city and business and like get them to stay? And so he did. And he made this magical program. And they started having like a couple towns around added it. Well, then he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And he is like, I am not dying without this program going on. And so he hired a process person to take everything out of his brain, create a system. And now it's all over the United States. And it's where the local business community funds it, but it goes through a local school. So every month, 50 high school seniors from all of the schools. So we have county schools, right? Pig farmers. We have inner city kids who are living on the couch at grandma's, and we have private school kids who have private jets. And I mean, we're not in a wealthy community, but like I'm just emphasizing the differences in all of these students. And they come together every day. They come to class early. So they're here at 7:30 to 9 every day. They get college credit for it, which is cool, but all year. So they have to create a business. They have to write a business plan. They have to make a product. They have to brand it, name it, sell it. They do a Shark Tank at the end of the year. And they have speakers every day. They go to business all over the city. How cool is that? So my kids are going and got to learn our city instead of going to high school and then moving away and never knowing the city, because you just get your driver's license and you practically graduate high school. So they're at all these interesting businesses, learning about how the water park handles it when it rains for a month in the summer, and how, people have navigated all of these things. And they work on the soft skills. They shake hands. They write thank you notes, like really, really cool. And I run a Toastmasters program. So they've been here all week, which I am not a morning person. I'm like, the only time I get up early is for you guys. But they go around and they have to speak on their feet. They have to do short little presentations, but it's all about confidence and when you're called on, learning how to create an intelligent answer. And so today was one of the yesterday, last classes. And they're like, just to look at where we've come in this semester or this year of like, we were so scared to come in, and now we're talking, and they're becoming friends with, that's the other thing. You grow up, like I was a sports person. So those were my friends just because that's who I was with all the time. And if you're in drama or band or music. And so for the first time, they're hanging out with people who are totally different and really seeing how cool that is. So if anybody wants to check it out, it's, they're a nonprofit. So your community pays for it, but you can go to midlandinstitute.com. And it's a CEO program, creating entrepreneurial opportunities. So like ours is Sangamon County. So we're Sangamon CEO. And it's just been the coolest thing, because that's what I think's wrong, not to go on a rant, but with the school, we memorize and we regurgitate, and business isn't that way. You got to go out and do it and fail. And the pressure, they do a fundraiser at the beginning of the first semester, like mid-semester, to raise seed money for all of them for their products. And they have an event and they have to sell tickets, and people have to show up, and it rains and it snows, and it's real stress. They start bickering, and they have to realize like this is part of it. And so beautiful to watch. So beautiful.
Oh, wow. I'm going to look that up. I hope that we have one by us. So cool. Yeah. Cause I think about something like the Brendan Burchard, High Performance Academy 4 days, and or a Tony Robbins, and thinking like, well, what's the earliest age I can start getting my kid into that room, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to expose her to that. But also, this is a great reminder. I need to be searching out the ones that are actually kid appropriate, right? They're meant for that age and like the development of the brain at that stage.
Well, my favorite was NSA. I've been a part of National Speakers Association, and they have a kid program that is bomb. You can start at 10,
Oh,
And
wow.
so upstairs, all the parents are up there learning, and then the speakers will go downstairs and speak to the kids. So it's all
Oh,
motivational, like speakers doing the most
yeah,
amazing things. So we would do that every summer. I would go, I would take my kids, they would do the teen, the kid program, and then we'd fly my husband in, and they were all over the country. So then we do our vacation in that
sure.
area. And then the pandemic hit and everything got turned upside down. Strategic Coach also has a young person program. They have to be a little older. I think that's 18 to 24, but that's also a really good one. Believe me,
I
I've been in the market. I was always asking, where are the programs for young
oh,
people?
I love this. I just finished the trilogy of the 10x is easier than 2x and
Gap in the Gain.
yes, Gap in the Gain, and then Who Not How.
Yeah.
And I did go and then peek at his website and realized, oh, there is a kid thing. That looks great. I need to put that on my radar.
Yeah, that's very cool. And then, of course, there's Landmark Forum that was very hard. We took my kids to. They did not enjoy it, but it definitely impacted them. It's more of a therapy type.
Okay.
And so it's deep, right? Kids are crying and it's difficult, but it's all personal development,
Yeah, which is so important.
So important.
So important.
So important.
Yeah. Yeah. We all got therapists during the pandemic and I just haven't stopped.
Yeah.
I think that's the best business decision I've ever made. And I think it's going to be a great support system for her. I want her to have more than just me,
Yeah, 100%.
Let's shift gears and talk about events for a little bit. I've heard you talk about gush-worthy experiences, and I love that phrase. And I want to know, how does that sentiment play a role during your planning for your events? And I believe that your signature virtual launch event is Go Boutique Live, right?
Yeah. Yep. We've done it 5 years. The first one was live in Dallas 2 weeks before the pandemic.
Oh my gosh.
I know. We just kicked off our high ticket coaching program. We got 50 buyers and then the world shut down. I was like, we're going to go out of business. But we've survived. We've done 4 virtuals and it's been amazing. But yeah, so we teach the boutique business model to photographers specifically, but in any space, there's a Walmart, like a low end price driven, and then there's a high end custom high touch. Whether if you want a bike, you can go to Walmart and get a bike, or you can go to the local bike store where they're experts in custom bikes and all the things. So we teach that to photographers. And so when I was creating this event, I wanted to have a different kind of event, kind of a boutique event. It's a niche, right? It's not going to be millions of people coming to it. And so I come from a branding background. I worked as a marketing director at an ad agency. So branding is very important to me. And so my love language is swag, really cool swag, but also for a reason. It's not just a t-shirt, right? It's our events are 3 days and they're architected for people to have a nervous system reset, to have a breakthrough. It's not like big conferences where you get a whole agenda and you're like, I'm gonna go to that speaker at noon and that one at 4.
Right.
And you might be breaking in between. Ours is start to finish, and it builds on itself. So for example, one year we give them envelopes and little things to open throughout for the kinesthetic learners, right? We're breakout rooms, whatever, but we do different colored envelopes. And one year it was just a string, right? So even if they peek, they don't know what the activities are.
Yeah.
And so it was really, I use the metaphor of the elephant, the baby elephant, which you've probably heard, how elephants are when they're in a zoo or they're little, they kind of wrap them, hate the word tie them to but they secure them to like a post with like a piece of, basically a thick rope. These giant animals, and they learn that they can't go anywhere. And then you can tie a giant elephant up with like a piece of yarn practically, right? It's sort of learned helplessness. They learned that they can't go anywhere and they're held back by it. And so we did an activity where people wrote out all their failures, right? The reasons why they can't succeed. And then we had them open the envelope and take out this string and then tie themselves. They're in their homes. This was virtual. Find something heavy in your room. So they found like a table or a heavy chair or whatever, and they tied themselves to that, as they looked at their list of the things that have been holding them back, because it's proof that they can't do these things. And then we had them break away, and people were emotional, right? And then we told them, like, you these things don't have to hold you back anymore.
Mm.
And so it's been things like that they're having these transformations, and they go in a room and they share what opened up for them. And that's what I love. I want them to feel so loved, unlike any other conference, where they just leave feeling more possibility for themselves than they ever felt
Mm.
before.
Mm. Yeah, I teach that everyone wants to feel seen, heard, and celebrated.
Hmm.
And I'm sensing that you're making that happen inside the virtual walls of your event.
Yeah, we try. We try.
What do you think about the emotion that you want to evoke in them by the end?
Well, I think more emotion is better, because
Mm.
if we like, I think that's part of our problem in society is, we numb our emotions with social media or drugs or alcohol or any kind of addiction, shopping,
Mm.
wasting time. And people are all, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have time. And I think sometimes it's good to feel the emotions, right? Because if you can feel low lows, you can feel high highs.
Yeah.
And, I'm so grateful that I had amazing parents. My mom's still alive. My dad, 10 years ago, he passed, and I miss him and think of him every day. And I love
Mm.
talking about him. But I had parents that cheered for me all the time. And not in a like, let's go buy her a trophy, for her soccer. But like my dad said, you can do anything you want.
Mm.
You can do anything you want. And I, a lot of people don't have that. Maybe they've picked a spouse that their picker was broken, or they're in a bad situation. I think almost everybody has some trauma that they're suppressing or holding down. And so that's why the
Yeah.
3 days is important for me.
Mm.
Let go of the guilt of, passing your kids off so you could be here for yourself. And I just want to be that voice that believes in them, because
Mm.
they never had that. A lot of people never had that and still don't have that.
True.
And then they're dealing with their own voices of disbelief. Well, remember that long list? Remember how you tried Pampered Chef and you failed? Remember how you did this and you failed?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what's important to me, is to just, whatever their transformation is meant to be. Maybe it's laughing, maybe it's crying, like whatever emotion it is, feel it. And then know that somebody cares enough about you to show you the
Mm.
way. I always say, I will believe in you until you believe in you, because I have so much proof that what we teach works, right? But you're not willing to step into the ring because you don't believe in yourself. So let me grab your hand and
Yes.
I will believe in you. You can take my belief, because I
Mm.
know that what we teach works.
Mm.
That's what I want people to feel, is supported and loved and cared for and important.
Mm. Oh, what a beautiful role to play in their lives. And then to be able to see it play out through your kind of your ascension model, if you will, your all your tiers of supportive programs you create. And is there a story that sticks out for you of someone that kind of had a breakthrough in one of your rooms and you were able to bring them to much higher levels of success?
So many,
Yeah.
so many. Gosh, I have Karina as a student in Canada who
Mm.
was in tears. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I've had so many in tears. And sometimes I
Mm.
think that you need to get to that point, right? Where it bothers you so much of where you are. And I thought, well, she's probably, I'm supporting her, but I never know, who's going to wake up tomorrow and be that person that finds a way, or they just are like, I have to stay, they just can't dig out.
Yeah.
And she joined our program, didn't have the money. And within like 36 hours, just went out there and hustled and had the whole year paid for with a couple brand jobs, a contract, just went out there and hustled. I had another student who did my first program. This is right after the pandemic. She'd been selling digital files, and we teach photographers how to go to selling prints and artwork, which gets your average sale up so that you can get your life back, right? That's where Family First comes in. Her husband had lost his job. He had kind of, I think they'd gotten in a rut. He's a really great guy, but I think because of all the things they've gone through, their relationship was kind of on the rocks, and she was feeling not supported. And she, in tears, also said, like, I can't go to the next level. And I was like, you can't not. Like, you're the one now that has to make the money to support your family. But I said, I love you and support you, but like, I see the vision for you. And by even the end of the conversation, she wiped her tears and she said, I'm going to find a way. And she went out and she scooped dog poop and she did different things and she just hustled to make the money. And the best part is she got to 6 figures within a year and she's now a coach in our program. And it warms my heart because all of my coaches in my programs are photographers who have been there. Like, I don't just hire coaches. Like, I want people to know that my coaches have come from where you are, just like I did. And they're doing the hard work every day. And so she's just an amazing, amazing coach. So, I mean, I could go story after story, but that's what gets me out of bed every day. It's not like, oh, I want to make all this money. It's like, I am empowering the Karina, she was like 24, right out of university in Canada, got married, had a baby, and was making money for their family. 24, 25 years old. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
When you think about the impact that you've been able to make because of your ability to scale and do the hard work on the marketing side, how does that make you feel?
I think that's my why, right? Is I remember how hard it was. I had twins and then I had another baby 2 years later, and I had a great husband, and he had started his own business, but we went from, 2 incomes and 2 people to 1 income and 4 people. And it was hard. And when I started my business, it was a mess. And I felt the downward spiral happening. And I was able to get out of it, but knowing that I am now reaching, back to help people who are coming behind me, coming after me, those newer moms, those younger people, and being able to say, dude, it doesn't have to be this hard. You don't have to struggle. You can have it all. You can be amazing and be a great mom and a great wife and make money and live the life of your dreams. Like, that's my why in the world. And I want that for my kids too, right?
Yeah.
I want it for your daughter. I want it for my daughters. And of course, my son. But I think being a female and remembering how hard it was, like just the bullying. And I was 6 feet tall. You said you're tall too. How tall are you?
Yeah, I'm 5'10", but I have a 43-degree curve in my spine, so I'm sure that I would be right up there.
Yeah. And, being teased that pants were too short and, was uncoordinated and all the things. And trying to help women. We are strong and confident. We don't have to be, the B word and the boss, or sweet and nice and stay at home mom. Like, we can be whatever confident, amazing version to raise the next generation of humans. So I want that to be my legacy, not just like, oh, she made money, right? Because the money is just a thing. It's the impact of my kids and their friends and their friends' friends and, my students and their kids. It feels good. To answer your question, it feels really good.
Yeah. It makes me think about how, wealth isn't just about the money. It's about generating the money that then and growing the wealth, like the wealth it will afford us. And in a sense, it's like it allows us to be more of who we are and experience the freedoms that are part of our heart. And, like whether it's time and location or whatever. And there's it makes me think of this entrepreneur I really admire up in the Skagit Valley of Washington. Her name's Erin, I think, Benzikin. She's runs a company called Floret, and they sell, she started off selling flowers and then moved into seed production, but she figured out the online piece of selling a course to teach people how to grow flowers and then sell them. And it's afforded her the ability, the ability to figure out the online piece has afforded her the ability to build the most amazing farm, flower farm ever that any farmer would love. And with all the hoop houses and all the fancy dirt, and as I was watching, it allows her to be more of who she is. And I was watching your video on your studio on YouTube, and the one that you and your husband, designed and built together. And it's gorgeous. And yes, with the little window to the gym.
Yep.
And it made me want to ask you, how do you think you being able to generate wealth through the online, in the monetary sense, through the online course space, what has that afforded you in wealth in other areas of your life? Allowed you to be more of who you are in other areas, because not every photographer gets this studio, you know?
Right, right. And my photography studio alone would not have been able to afford or justify the building that we're in.
Yeah.
It's got a gym. It's got the most gorgeous camera room. And we have events for our students here twice a year as part
Mm-hmm.
of the year-long program. And they get to come in here and they get to hold the frames and they
Mm-hmm.
get to see what's possible, even if they never want a studio,
Yeah.
but to see like all the cool things. And I've had multiple studios that were cool, but they were much smaller and they were still really amazing. But to be able to
Mm-hmm.
build our dream studio with also a volleyball court in the middle, that's now a pickleball court as my volleyball players have all gone off to college to play volleyball. But it's been amazing because in fact, this week we have a junior high volleyball team. We're in the center of the state, and our state tournament for most sports is usually in the central in our town or near us.
Okay.
And this little 8th grade team qualified for state. And so they asked if they could use our gym. It's not a full gym, but they come down, they walk through, they have dinner, and then they go to the 6 o'clock game versus just sitting in a gym or eating McDonald's. Like the parents can cook them food and feed them healthy food. They get to have their hands on the volleyballs before the game. And 2 times we've done this and they've won state both times. So they're coming again this week, this team that won last year. I'm able to host this CEO class for 11 years and we've only been here 6 or 7, something like that. But to be able to have this space to do that is so cool. And then, just all the things we can do for our local community, but showing our students how to do this. We just created a program called Community Seed Money. Had to think about it. We just created Community Seed Money, where we're teaching our students how to go out in their community and raise money for things that are important to them. And so a friend of mine spoke actually at Russell Brunson's event, Funnel Hacking Live, and she talked about how she looked at her sales funnel, right? A funnel, you can picture it with a wide opening at the top where you put all these people in that you're going to help. And then it trickles down and not everybody does the work. And you feel like, gosh, I'm only impacting so few. But then she continued it into an hourglass. She's like, but every one person that I impact goes out into their network and impacts and impacts and impacts. So looking at it that way, that it's not about changing every single person in the world, right? I'm just one person in a small town in central Illinois. But I mean, I've mentored in 11 years, 50 kids a year. All of those students have been spent the year with me. Now they're out running companies and doing cool things. And we have an alumni get together over the week of Christmas every year. And they come back and they pour into the next group. And it is the most beautiful thing. And it's 75, 80 people. But how cool is that, right? And so I think sometimes we try to think of impact as being this big monster of like, I should build schools, in Africa or do something amazing. And I feel like if we all just did a little more, that's cool. And then of course, like at our event, we do a necklace every year. So this year we did one of a squirrel. Squirrel is our mascot in our
heavens.
Institute. I know we're all about the squirrels. They're everywhere. And I'll explain that if you want. But we raised $20,000 for Village Impact in Africa. We've raised over $100,000 for Operation Underground Railroad and Operation Smile. We raised $50,000 as a community of photographers. So I love raising money. I love giving back. In fact, we created a certification program for our students, like to become certified boutique photographers. They have to generate and raise $1,000 for a charity in their community. It's that important to me. We give them the campaigns and the programs and we teach them, we mentor them as they do it, because I want them to see you don't have to wait till you have a big pile of money. I know that you're struggling too, right?
Yeah.
But our motto is we lift as we climb. And so you can lift and climb and you'll climb higher. So you give back as you go. You don't wait till you're at the top of the mountain because you may never get to the top of the mountain. Mountain keeps growing.
Wow.
And so that's pretty cool. We have our awards and we share like what people have given to charity and all of that, right? It's the hourglass. It's my students going out in their communities and giving back. And that is cool.
Wow. What a ripple effect that you're creating. It's you've structured your business so that you have the time freedom to do that too, and not just the money freedom. And that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just think, We Fill Our Cup. I love that book. Is it called Fill Your Cup? I think it was a Gallup book. It's like a
I haven't
little
read
one.
that
It's a
one.
good one for kids too. But the whole premise is we all go around with a bucket, an invisible bucket in front of us. And every interaction we have with anybody, we're either taking or filling
Oh, yes.
their cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fill your
Read that
bucket,
one.
maybe it's called.
Have you filled your bucket
Yeah.
today? Something like that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They have a really great kids version. It's a great kids gift
It's
for
so
friend
cute.
parties. Put little money in as a bookmark. That's like my signature.
It's your
college
go-to.
gift. Yeah. So I give them, you are a BADASS.
That is such a good entry-level personal development book.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. But I don't even know where I was going there. I was going somewhere.
Oh, we were just talking about time freedom and just being able to give back.
Yeah, and the bucket, right? When you fill someone else's bucket,
sure.
you're filling your bucket too. When you're taking from their bucket, you're taking from your bucket too. So they think they have to go out and get to build their business. And it's like, that's emptying your bucket. Like you fill your bucket by giving and by helping and being part of your community. And then your bucket's filling too. And a lot of people, again, like you grew up without the personal development world.
Yeah.
And that's most of our people who come into our community. They've never been exposed to these messages, which is why I love events, right? Because you can do a course and you can do an hour here and an hour there. But if you have a community and you want to just surround them with these words of change and awesomeness and the new beliefs that they need to adopt, it takes more than an hour or 2 hours. Like they need to be immersed in it. Just why we take vacations, right? Because you need to separate from your problems so you can get perspective on what you want to change. And that's why I love events. They're one of my favorite things. And I'm so glad you love them too, because
I do.
You got to leave home. And even if it's virtual, right? You've got to leave your life and really focus on what it is you want to make change in. And events are so perfect for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was in that first personal development seminar where I realized it's like, and I was sitting next to entrepreneurs. Above the fold front page news to me that you could live anywhere you want and run your own business. And it made me, it took a full year for me to decide, I'm so good at producing events and I love it. And I'm supposed to be putting my flag in the sand and helping in the online coaching space, these entrepreneurs who want to do this too, but are too overwhelmed or they don't know how the wizard behind the curtain works. And I do. And this is like so fun for me. It was at an event that I had that was able to put all those pieces together. And it was because of that immersive environment that you're describing, where it took more time to kind of, arrive at that space, kind of close off the rest of the world and have the breakthroughs. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think back, because I had a student, one of my early events where I had a small event in my studio, like 10, 15 people, we were out of money. Like we were behind in the year. And we're like, the only way to catch up is to sell something bigger. What can we do? Sure. We threw it together. And by the end of day one, this girl who had a lot of emotional sort of struggles during the day, she was like, this is amazing. I see it. Went to bed, slept, came in the next day, like back to the same old, like, I know yesterday I was in a different place. Like I just realized this morning, it can't happen for me. Right. So it took us that whole day of her seeing again and overcoming all the places she'd been and all the, everybody brings a lot of past with them and a lot of proof of why, they're different and it can't work. And so I watched it with her over this couple days, like how much she needed to sleep and come back and hear it again in a different way.
Yes.
Sleep and come back and hear it in a different way. And what I'll say to anybody who's out there listening, who's scared to have their first event, because it is, sometimes you put a lot on the line, and while now virtual makes it so easy, I have this talk every year before I have our event. And we have challenges in smaller events, but like we build the huge stage, like we're Tony Robbins, not literally, but like we build the whole thing. And I just tell myself, Sarah, just love your people. And somebody gave me that advice before my first event, just because I was so hung up on like sales conversion and offer, and it's so scary and all this stuff. And I remember being like at peace of, if nobody buys anything, I'm going to serve these people hard and they're going to feel good about me.
Yes.
And I'll figure out what I need to do next time to make an offer that converts,
Yes.
And we had a mad rush to the back of the room, and that
Mm,
doesn't happen. I've had it happen, where there's crickets. I've experienced that too. And that's what I was expecting. But I think that changed me when I was like, I just want to love people and encourage people and help
mm,
people and share my
mm.
story, and the money will come.
Yep.
And people like you have the system, right? So
Yeah.
plug into a proven system with your
Yeah.
mentor,
Hmm.
right? If you're like Sarah, it makes sense to me. Her system seems amazing. Like,
Yeah.
find a way to invest in the system, follow the system, and then just love people. Let
Mm.
the chips fall where they will, fix it, do better next time, right? And then we'll do better. Like, we've done it 5 years, and every year we're like, oh my gosh, I can't, how did we do it that first year? When the first year we were like, we did so great, And this year we were actually in bed before 9 o'clock. The first year it was 2 a.m. We're like, how are we surviving? We were just adrenaline and fear all mixed up, that first time, just horrified of all the things that could go wrong. But it was also such an exhilarating feeling. So if you're not doing it and you want to do it, just do it. Right? Let it, even if you crash, like, you get to be put in a really exclusive group of people who have done it versus those who just think about it and talk about it and dream about it.
Totally. I mean, those that are winning are creating those experiences for people, and that's so pro team, Sarah. That you're in bed by 9 is so pro team. I look at, I watch social media for the behind the scenes of so many people's events, and I notice who's had the space and the leadership to be able to sit down and have a meal with their team before the event or after the event. Like, I notice those things, and that tells me so much information about how who they are as a leader, how the team that support team that they've surrounded themselves with. So, like, kudos to you. It's huge.
Thanks. And it's been a process. I mean, the first year we were understaffed. We were a smaller company.
Yeah.
My little team, I about killed them. And I said, we're not doing that next year. And each year we've gotten better.
Yeah.
And this year we had 3 extra people. And most of my team is virtual. So there were
Okay.
only about 7 of us here. And it just was so beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew their role.
Mm-hmm.
There were some floaters, and I had a ski accident 8 weeks before our event was two
Oh
weeks ago. And
no.
I tore both of my MCLs on both knees. So, I mean, I would come off stage. They're bringing me, one's holding my food and one's putting ice on my knees. Right. And that's when you're like, man, we got a well-oiled machine. They're like
Yeah.
timing my Advil and Tylenol every 6 hours, like, to make sure I don't
Oh.
get out of pain where I can't recover.
Yeah.
And just that kind of team that can pay attention to
Mm.
my needs, like, because I try to be pretty low maintenance, but it was like, this added a new element of complexity, right? Having the
Yes.
main speaker for 3-day event in pain.
Yes.
And so it was amazing to know that they
Wow.
were there for me. And it just was really fun. It was really, really fun. Events are so fun. I could talk
They
about them all
are.
day. They're really,
They
really fun.
are. They are. I know, it's one of those things. They're either for you or they're not for you.
Yeah.
And I could tell you're in the camp where this is like, whatever it takes. Like, I have to do this because it brings me so much joy.
Well, and I'm a high
Mm,
eye on the disc. So is Andrea, who's been with me 15
mm,
years and runs my studio, coaches and runs our event. She's kind of become our producer. Like,
that's
we're
great.
90, I'm a 99, she's a 98. So we have to have people. And when you have a virtual coaching program, like, we just need to be with the people and hear from the people. And so that's why they
Mm,
come to us live. So we do 2 fulfillment events
yeah.
where we don't offer anything, like, they're just serving for
Yeah.
2 days. But then I also love the game of selling, right? And making an offer, because that's what, I mean, we teach photographers how to make money, right? Not all events are teaching people how to make money, but they have to learn how to make offers. They have to learn how to talk about money. And
Yes.
so we're really showing them how to do it. And we're putting them in breakout rooms where they can talk about their fears and practice communication, little tips and tricks. And I don't know. I love the community. And I think that's
Mm,
something that we didn't do. I've been in business 25 years,
okay.
and I've been at my online business since '05. So it's at
Okay.
almost 20. And I just did low ticket things, right? Cause I'm
Mm.
like, oh, we tried a coaching program and someone told me I wasn't good, well, it turned out it was the person who didn't want to do the work and play the shame game. So I told myself I'm never doing that. I had 3 little kids. And it wasn't until, talking about being in the right room, proximity is power. We know it. Got in Russell Brunson's inner circle.
Yeah.
We were down and watched how he built a community. He calls it culture, cult.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how cults for negative built
Yes.
people, in a negative way, but like building a community that if it went away, people would miss it.
Yeah.
That's like my guide of, is the community strong enough? And I mean, I got people, it's just the stories about our community. We've ascended, like we have volunteer leaders and they can do half scholarship. And then our coaches are full scholarship and they're creating content and they're doing meetups and they're doing one-on-ones with our students. They have weekly group meetings where we have a no photographer left behind policy. And just to watch them love this program and company as much as I do has been overwhelming, right? Because I mean, they are just, they know what it feels like to be alone and they don't want anybody new coming in to feel alone. And they just wrap them up. It's so cool to watch.
Well, people support what they create, right? And it seems like you're building that in as a leader to the structure of the community you're building.
So I think for people who have a higher ticket coaching program, I think the event is a key component because we could do it without the event, but the event is where they want to get a spot on the stage, whether it's a success panel or a small teach. They want to get recognized at that national level when they get awards. They want that. It's a group effort, Go Boutique Live, our event. And so they just are beautiful together. The event and that community, it brings the community together. Sort of like I tell them, you're like the varsity team and we're going out to the junior highs talking to kids about the volleyball program, right? They're looking at you with big eyes like, I want to be like them. And they show up. They go in the enrollment lobby and they tell people you need to do this program. I mean, they are right there rowing with us down the river. All of us together in sync. It's beautiful.
I did that in college a little bit. It was fun.
You rode?
Yeah.
Good for you.
The Mississippi.
Oh, nice.
Well,
yeah, they like tall, athletic girls on the row teams. I have some of my daughter's friends who were
on the crew team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
I thought being the little petite one that sits at the front of the boat
coxswain
and yells at everyone would be a good job for me. But yeah.
I was just on a podcast yesterday and the guest, it came up that I was on the crew team and he's like, one of my coaches, my mentors is a coxswain, Pat Flynn. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Where did you row?
I went to the University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah. And I grew up just north of Milwaukee in Cedarburg, just like cutest downtown ever. And then we vacation every summer for a month or two up in Door County, Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
And since you're a Midwesterner, you're probably familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not far from me. I'm about 5-6 hours south of where you were. So
yeah. Yeah. We would drive through Illinois every summer on our way to visit grandparents in northern Indiana. So I feel like we just spent a lot of time in Illinois growing up. Too.
Yeah, I mean, road goes right through it, right? Yeah. From Chicago to St. Louis.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's us right in half.
One of my mentors, I've told you, Brendan Burchard, he jokes about his personal development brand, High Performance Academy. He says there's no building anywhere with a sign up front that says High Performance Academy, but you actually have a building with a sign out front that says Photography Business Institute. And I want to know what did that moment feel like when they put the sign up on that gorgeous building that you and your husband built together?
It felt pretty amazing because we are actually on Interstate 55 from St. Louis to Chicago. So I'm looking out at the traffic, like 100,000 cars a day go by it. So we didn't ever put the name up when it was Joy of Marketing. We've just rebranded because what does that say? And that's one of the reasons we rebranded. We're a school for photographers. We're a business school. Yeah. And we did it digitally first. And so like just seeing the digital version of my sign, because I'm very visual, I needed to see it before I paid for it.
Me too. Yep.
Yeah. So my team like put it together and I was like, oh, that feels good. But the day they were out there with the crane and the men, and it was chilly, and we went out every like hour taking videos, and then it got done. We had to drive by. We had to go out and drive by at night, multiple times, and it felt really cool. It felt really cool. And I remember thinking, like, I wish my dad. I know I envision that he sees it from heaven, but he was a small business owner and he was a mechanic, had one bay of a little gas station. And when he retired, he sold a brand new state of the art 17 bay facility. And I think he knew the struggles of an entrepreneur. I think he would have really enjoyed seeing that sign go up. But
I bet he was watching.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Did you bring your mom over?
No, my mom's not that much. She looks at everying on social media.
She's like, good. I saw it.
Yeah. I mean, we send her pictures. She's my best friend. We talk every day, but it's so funny because I'm so much like my dad, and my mom and my brother are so much alike. Like, we play Monopoly, and my dad and I are like wanting to win. And my mom's like, I have this blue park place. Do you want it? And my brother's like, oh, sure. Here, half boardwalk. I'm like, okay, yeah. They're like the least competitive entrepreneurial type. So it's just good. It's good that we're all not the same in the world.
Right. How boring would that be? It
would be so boring or scary if everyone was like me.
Yeah.
I'm intense. That's okay.
I am too. Yeah. I work to tone it down in certain areas.
I know we have to, because especially when you're an entrepreneur, right? And then you're going into your marriage. And I mean, we do have a masculine energy, having been athletes, right? And the boss and everything. And then I have to remind myself, like, I don't have to be the boss in the family.
Right.
I can just chill it, bring it down a little bit.
That's the conversation my therapist and I were having this week. So let's revisit I statements and tone when you're in your family. I'm like, yes, okay, let's do it. So as we wrap up, I've got one last question for you. So I subscribe to the school of thought that I value lifelong learning so much, and I think that we need to design our own curriculum with intention. And so before we wrap up here, I'd love to know 3 parts here. What are you reading right now? Why did you pick that book? And what's one thing you learned so far?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
And your books are color-coded. Be still my heart.
No, my intern did that for birthday present, surprised me, which my love language is not gifts, like acts of service. And I came in, I was almost crying. I'm like, that is the coolest thing. And then my new employee, who was an intern 15 years ago, helped me do the ornaments at Christmas to color code. And I can't take them down. I know it's March, but I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever.
That's interesting that you said that acts of service is your love language. It's mine too. But you said that your love language during events is swag, which I actually feel the same. That's interesting that you love gifting in the event space, but service is your love language.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I think for me, swag is a bit of an act of service because, again, it's not just a cool shirt to wear, but it's something that we do together that gets you out of your own way, right? So I feel like it's kind of an act of service, but it's all beautifully designed.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, we did bracelets with squirrels on them. We did, we always have a money activity. That was kind of our money thing, like switching hands when you have negative money thoughts with the bracelet, because so many people have money blocks. But an acorn, like if you think about, that's why squirrels.
Yeah.
They plant one little seed, and the whole ecosystem of trees everywhere came from squirrels. Like they're really crediting squirrels for planting all those seeds. Now, granted, they planted them and then lost them and couldn't find them again. They wanted to go dig them up for meals and they lost them. So that's a different issue.
Yeah.
But, squirrels are resilient and tenacious, and they hustle and they support community. They're a family. They play hard, and they're a smaller animal, right? They have to compete in the wilderness with, giant lions, tigers, and bears. So we really embrace the squirrel. But back to your question, I have books even on my desk that I want to read. And I have like 20 sitting over there.
I love it.
Is the most recent. Like these I haven't opened yet. I literally just got them.
Is that buy back your time?
Built to sell.
Oh, okay.
as we're building our
Yeah.
team and like looking at how do I build a business that over the next 10 years operates less with me.
Yep. Yep.
And then I bought the workbook because I always like to see how people structure workbooks for their training.
Yeah.
Your Best Year Ever, Michael Hyatt.
Yeah.
Just
Good.
somebody was talking about it, and I didn't have it. So I was like, I need to have it. And then this one's Jason Fladlin, a webinar book that like I just nibble and chow, and it's like a tactical book. But Hidden Potential by I think it's Adam Grant.
Yep.
Is the most recent one, and I read it to talk about someone recommended it. I opened it. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm using this in my event. So I opened my event with this story. He talks about the junior high chess championship back in 1991 up in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
There was an elite prep school called Dalton who churns out like champions every year. They start them in kindergarten. They take a half a year of chess in first grade, a full year. And then the top kids go into like a training program. So by junior high, there are these elite chess players.
Wow.
Contrast that with a school in Harlem, didn't have a chess program. This guy, this Jamaican immigrant came in to coach them who just had a love of it. And he had to take a bunch of sixth graders and build a program. And one boy played chess in the park with a drug dealer, right? And he came in and he built this program, and he talked about hidden potential and how the Dalton boys just started at a higher place than these other boys. And yet with the right mentor and the right support, they won. They were able to get to the finals. Like it goes through, it's a whole long thing of their battles and how, but how he held them together, which really, study after study shows that we go further faster with support and with the mentor and with the coach. But every story in that book is fantastic. I mean, there are so many great stories and studies and things. So that's really, I mean, I haven't even really finished it because there was so much content. I was like, I have to tell this story. I have to tell this story. But if you're a coach out there, that is an amazing book. I highly recommend it. And I love, my rule with books is if someone recommends it, I don't go, oh, I'm going to add it to my list. I go look at it. If it looks like I'll read it, I buy it. And I have like 15, but some days I just get up and I like consume all of them. I don't go in a linear way. So like, I'd rather have more that I haven't read than be like, oh, I really wish I had a good book. Yeah. So that's a good book.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to add that to my list. I haven't read that one.
Really good.
Yeah. I just am finishing I have like one chapter left in 10X is easier than 2X. And it's just blowing my mind. I'm loving it so much.
And that's a great audiobook because they do an interview. Dr. Benjamin Hardy interviews Dan Sullivan at the end of each chapter.
Yes.
So I tend to do that too. If I like it and I feel like I'll want it when I travel, I'll get the audio version, but that's a really good audio.
Yeah,
book.
Since I'm the chief dog walker in the family, I listen on Audible while I'm walking the dog in the morning because I must multitask. And I've really enjoyed those interviews. And I'm so blessed. I joined Amy and Stu McLaren's book mastermind, and they had the author Benjamin Hardy on a few weeks ago. And it was like the best Zoom of my entire life, hearing like more stories about that. And I think he said something like, that book has turned into like 100 new salespeople that they've had to add at Strategic Coach.
That is amazing. He came and spoke at Russell Brunson's mastermind in Mexico. And we saw him sitting at dinner the first night, because nobody usually would probably recognize him like that. And we're like, hey, do you want to come join us for dinner? He was surprised that we recognized him, but we're all booked. Like, look at you. We're all booked, right? And so he came and joined us. There were like 10 of us, and we laughed and got to know him. And it's kind of awkward when you feel like their names, he's adopted kids and he's got some kids and we know his whole life story. Yes. So it's kind of awkward that we know him. He doesn't know any of us, but we had a really nice dinner. He's going to do more books. He's amazing. His books are the best for sure.
They're so good. Yeah. So good. I think it really does help me open my eyes. Like there is books that are more well-written than others that just help you get it. So
yeah. And his messages, 10X is easier than 2X if you think about it, right? We grind so hard to make incremental changes when it's like take a breath, get rid of 80% of the junk that's not moving the dial, do the 20%, and the dial moves really fast.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. The wanting what you want part just like kind of blew my mind wide open.
Yeah.
Sarah, what have you got going on right now that we should know about, and where can Linchpin Nation find you?
Yeah, I think our biggest thing now that we're the Photography Business Institute is we're teaching more photography skills for people who have cameras and want to make money, but think, oh, I could never do that. But we put them through the filter of what skills do you need to know to go make money now?
Yes.
So people, I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there who would love, like you said, for your daughter, a little side hustle. I mean, think if you could bring in a couple thousand, if you're a stay-at-home mom or whatever, you want to, or you have a kiddo who wants to bring in a little extra money with their camera. We've now added that because we realize people, even trained people, are missing some certain skills, and they're simple and easy and quick to learn. And then you can go make money. So photographybusinessinstitute.com, our newest version of our website just went up this week. So you might find some problems. It's okay. I'm Sarah.Petty on Instagram, and love to hear from you. Even if you had takeaways from today, send me a message. I love hearing from people because, we're all in this world together, just trying to make it a better place, I feel like.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Last thing to share with you before we go. I got married. I hired a photographer. They took the pictures. They sent me the website with all the pictures and said, okay, go ahead and pick, and we'll make the albums for you. And I have this many photos of our wedding. I have zero of them. I have zero. And I have been married since 2006.
Yeah, we don't serve people.
Yeah, so hearing your story so I'm like, anybody who needs a photographer in the Central Illinois area should see you too, because you'll help people get the stuff on the walls, like where it needs to be, instead of like not. And it's so sad, and I will fix it someday, but like that process of having to cull through was like actually chest tightening for me.
And people think, oh, well, you can do it yourself and save money, but we go to restaurants and people cook the meal. We don't go into a nice restaurant and go, give me just the raw meat, because we'll go home and screw it up. Right? Like they have their way and they love to do it. So I feel it. This is going to be the lost generation. And there were no pictures of me as a kid because I was the second, and like people just didn't have cameras in their pockets like they do today. But now they're taking the pictures and not printing them.
Yes. So beautiful.
We can help you with that. We need to find someone to help you with that, because that hurts me.
Yeah, it hurts me. Sarah, thank you so much for being on today. It's been a joy.
Sarah, thank you for having me. It's been so fun.
Thank you for listening to the Greenroom Central podcast. If you loved this episode, then please take a screenshot on your phone and post it to Instagram, and be sure to tag @SarahPfeiffer and let me know why you liked it and what you'd like to hear, or who you'd like to hear from in the future. That'll help me know what to create for you. Also, if scaling events in your business sounds like something you want to tackle this year and you need a coach, let's connect to see if one-on-one coaching is for you. Just go to greenroomcentral.com. You and I can work together one-on-one throughout the course of the year and dive deep into the inner workings of your events and business. You'll receive mentorship, personalized feedback, and customized guidance to define your goals and achieve your next level of success. Just go to greenroomcentral.com right now to apply. I appreciate your commitment to leveling up and learning the mindset and strategy of live events. Keep going. Keep learning. If you want more, head over to greenroomcentral.com for show notes and all the links from today's episode.